Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Celeste Duckworth, and I am the retreat coordinator for Creative Arts Retreats. And as you've probably seen on our social media, mine and our facilitators, is that our retreat is going to be May the 29th through June the 9th in Ireland. And for those of you in Arizona, it's Chandler, Arizona, sister city, and Tullamore. So those of you been there, you got to be excited about this. And we have some great things that are going to be happening there. But today I have our photography workshop facilitator, Xiomaro, and I'm going to have him answer some of my questions to kind of, make sure if you have any questions, okay? When we post this, please feel free to ask more questions and we'll be sure either myself or Xiomaro or Lori will answer your questions for you. So welcome, Xiomaro. How are
Yeah,
you?
thank you. Don't ask me anything too hard now.
Okay. Well, I think the first thing I want to ask you is
hmm
just to kind of introduce who you are and what you do real briefly.
Sure. I am a photographer, but really more of an artist. I don't take snapshots. I like to create photographs and images, and I do lots of exhibits. I use my photography as a way for people to learn more about their history and their culture, get them to see the world in new ways. I have a background as a musician. I'm still pretty active as a musician.
Mhm.
And for many years, I worked as a lawyer in the entertainment industry. So I've represented literally hundreds of different people in TV, film, music. I managed an artist for a while. Some of you, if you're old enough, might remember Lisa. So I managed her for 5 years. So, I pull in all these experiences and I try to channel it through my photography. And one of the things that I enjoy doing is teaching, teaching these workshops to help just average everyday people, get to see the world differently and to use whatever they happen to have. In many cases, it's just a smartphone. So they don't need to spend a lot of money on an expensive camera or anything like that. That there's a lot you can do if you know how to look.
Okay. And so you've had experience doing the workshops. Tell me a little bit about your workshops. So the one that we're doing in
Yeah.
Ireland is a smartphone workshop, but doesn't mean that you're not going to be, people are going to probably be bringing their other cameras as well. So tell me a
hmm
little bit about the workshops you've done.
hmm Yeah. What happened was a lot of the photography that I do are commissions from the National Park Service in the United States. And so I get to photograph these places that are iconic, places like, the homes of presidents, historic landscapes that you might see in many paintings in the Metropolitan Museum of Art and other world class museums. So that's how I started working with the National Park Service. I even published a book about one of the national parks that I photographed. But then, because of my work, they asked me to teach a workshop. So we just did one just to try it out. It was a 4 hour workshop. We met in a barn, which was really kind of cozy. So I got to teach with PowerPoint. I used different slides showing them examples from history of paintings and other photography. And then we would go out into the field and then we would apply what we learned. And then we would go back and then we discuss what we did. So that ended up being just hugely popular. I mean, we would actually have waiting lists for that workshop. And so then they started repeating those. And I started doing those over a period of years.
Mhm.
It began at one particular park, and then another park asked me to do the same thing for them. And then before you know it, other places started asking me, like schools, libraries, civic organizations.
Mhm.
And so, people really connected with those workshops. And what was interesting was that many of the people who came just brought smartphones. Some
Okay.
people brought, a point and shoot camera.
Mhm.
Some brought, there's a really big DSLR cameras, which is what I use also.
Right.
But what really appealed to folks was that it wasn't about the technology or how much money you have to spend on a camera.
Mhm.
It was really about drawing principles from visual art over the centuries and
Mhm.
trying to apply it to a smartphone. The smartphones, we kind of take it for granted because it's in our pockets and it's just like an everyday item. But what's amazing is that the processing technology in the smartphone is, I don't even know how many times more than the computing power
Mm-hmm.
that got us to land on the moon. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people don't realize that. So the smartphone is perfectly fine for photography.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we do the one in Ireland, I'm just expanding what I've done before. So
Mm-hmm.
those were 4-hour workshops. Now we got 10 days. So we got plenty of time to go deeper into things. There's a lot of people when they went to my workshop said, boy, I wish I had an advanced class,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that we can learn more and get deeper into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the opportunity for that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, smartphones are welcome, point and shoots. I mean, even a film camera, if you want to bring that, an old fashioned film camera. If you want to bring because I did one of these when I was in high school. If you want to make out of a milk carton what's called a pinhole camera, that's about as
Okay.
rudimentary as you can get. You can even bring that too. You can get some great pictures with a pinhole camera made out of a milk carton. So it's really not about the technology. It's really about
Mm-hmm.
how to look and how to see and how to
Mm-hmm.
find interesting things, even when you think you're in a mundane environment, which we're certainly not going to be in Ireland, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I know that I've been taking pictures with my smartphone for a while now. I mean, every place I go, every hike or whatever, and I'm always amazed at the pictures that come out of the smartphone. I mean, some of them have been like, wow, and it's not like I did anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just the time of day, just catching it, and even sometimes I've taken smartphone pictures and I took the picture from what I thought I wanted. And when it came out, it had even more. And I was like, wow, how did that come out like that?
Mm-hmm.
So I love taking pictures from my smartphone. In fact, and people have asked me on my profile pictures, they'll say, who took your picture? I'm like, my smartphone.
Yeah.
I take better pictures of me on a smartphone than going to a photo shoot. So it's kind of weird, but
Well, I'll tell
great.
you, I mean, the lens on the smartphones are really good and they get better all the time.
Right.
The sensor, which is what captures the image, are also
Mm-hmm.
very good. But I'll tell you, like for instance, I have photographs
Mm-hmm.
that I took years ago with an iPhone 7. Okay,
Okay.
so that's a long time now, right? iPhone
Right.
7, and I think we're up to 13 now. Those photographs have been exhibited in galleries around the world.
Wow.
And those photographs have also been in books that I've published.
Okay.
They've appeared in newspapers, they've appeared in magazines,
Mm-hmm.
they have even appeared on some television programs I've been on, like ABC and some
Uh-huh.
other places like that. So the quality is there. I mean, I've printed these really large, these
Uh-huh.
iPhone 7 pictures
Mm-hmm.
large, like 17 inches by 25 inches, which is a pretty big picture.
Wow.
And they come out perfectly fine. Now,
Okay.
obviously, you can get better quality, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not that it looks bad. It looks perfectly fine. So with today's phone technology,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of whether it's iPhone or Android is also very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
You can get some great results, but part of it is you can have high quality technically, but have a boring photo, right? Or a
Right.
photo where someone's head's
Right.
cut off or the lighting's really bad.
Right.
So what's great is that technology is so good now with the phones that it's been democratized. Everybody has pretty much equal access to good quality camera technology. The
Okay.
missing element is knowing how to take a picture, right?
Okay.
And I know this. I mean, I've had well-meaning people
Mm-hmm.
take pictures, take photos of me so that I can use it. Because I don't get pictures of myself. I need
Right.
someone to photograph me. But they'll get me with my mouth open or my eyes are half closed or I look kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to know how to time things to get the picture the right way, how to
Right.
get the best angle in somebody,
Mm-hmm.
if you're shooting people.
Mm-hmm.
But the same thing applies with the landscape. So if you're photographing a beautiful landscape or a sunset or a flower
Mm-hmm.
or a beautiful building,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of have to know how to assess what you're looking at to get the best result as far as how you position the camera, you
Okay.
know, how you move yourself in relation to the lighting. These are all things that I'm going to teach
Mm-hmm.
at the workshop,
Mm-hmm.
and not just teach it, but then we get to actually go out and apply it. See, that's a key thing. Lots of people learn online. They go, they watch a YouTube, video, or they subscribe to some online course. The problem is that you don't have a human being teacher in front of you to
Right.
ask questions in real time.
Right.
In our retreat, I'm going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And our retreat is limited. We're not just inviting everybody. We have a limit to how many people we have, which is why people should register right away. Because
Right.
I want to know that I have time to spend with people to answer their
Mm-hmm.
questions one on one.
Right.
And then once I do the teaching, right, we're
Mm-hmm.
going to go out and start applying what we learn
Mm-hmm.
immediately while it's still fresh in your mind. And as we're out there, I'm also going to be available to answer questions, to give direction. They can show me the pictures they've taken so far, and I can give them, some critiques,
Mm-hmm.
positive critiques, not being critical or dismissive, but to
Right.
help people do better and push their boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very different with a retreat because you
Mm-hmm.
have this interactivity with somebody and with each other too. We can learn from each other
Mm-hmm.
and get inspired by each other. So
Okay.
it's really a very different experience than what you can learn online. Not that
All
I'm
right.
putting down what you can learn online, but this because it is helpful.
Right.
But this is where you can't even compare. It's just completely different. Plus, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be tons of fun. I mean, come on, being in Ireland, hearing the accents, checking out the food.
So my next question, I know how I've been going to Ireland since 2003. I was going every year, staying the whole summer, and then I actually lived there for about 3 years. And so it has a lot of meaning for me. Being there, it's just a lot I can't even explain. But you went for the first time this year or, or
Last
last year?
last year, yeah,
Last year.
almost a year ago.
And yeah, and so I'd like to hear what your experience was and what that meant to you.
Yeah, wow. I can go on for a long time on that, but I won't. I will say this, however, that because you've been there and lived there and all that, you were very instrumental in making my trip there as smooth as possible because,
Mhm.
I'd never been there before and I wasn't clear on how to get from point A to point B and where to go and how the money works and the hour, the time, and, just all these little things that don't occur to you until you start planning your trip.
Right.
So I'm grateful for your assistance on that. And of course, that's the beauty of having you help me with this retreat is you can take
Mhm.
care of all that stuff.
Mhm.
But in going there, every place says that we're friendly.
Right.
Even New York City says we're friendly. New York City is friendly. But I have to admit, I mean, Ireland, they truly are friendly. I mean, it was almost comical.
Mhm.
I was with my assistant, so we're dragging our little suitcases down the road there, and we kind of knew our way. I had my GPS on my phone and all that, but I guess people could tell that we
Mhm.
were not, especially with this. They could tell I'm not from there,
Right.
and so they knew we were tourists. And it was just the most hilarious thing because traffic would stop. Traffic would stop, and people would shout out their windows, say, "Hey, can I help you out? Where do you want to go?" Uninvited. I mean, I didn't ask for any help. So I was really touched by that, about how friendly they were.
Mhm.
And nobody was honking the horn, like they would in New York because they were stopping traffic. I'm having this conversation with this guy who doesn't know me. And so, he was very helpful. And then we walk up a couple more blocks and someone else stopped us. I mean, he's like, wow, this is just fantastic.
Mhm.
So it's really, it's a place where it doesn't take you much time to feel like you got to adapt. You get
Mhm.
acclimated pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Because I'm always a little bit self-conscious because of my accent, right? I don't have an Irish accent and my appearance.
Mhm.
But no, it was perfectly fine. So when I was in Tullamore specifically, which is where our hotel is going to be based,
Mhm.
Tullamore is our base of operations. It's
Right.
in pretty much in the center of Ireland.
Mhm.
Same thing there. We stopped at a coffee shop and we sat outside, and this guy just starts talking to me.
Yeah.
And just very nice guy. In fact, I met his mother.
Uh-huh.
He owns a restaurant nearby, and
Yeah.
he noticed me right away. So I saw you coming down the street, and it looks like a cool looking guy. I guess I
Yeah.
I stand out, with
Mhm.
the hair and how I dress sometimes. But we just had a really nice conversation, and everywhere I went, it was like that. So I think for folks who maybe haven't traveled that much, or they've never been to Ireland, and they want to learn photography, that's like the best place to be because you can just be yourself and just not feel self-conscious about anything. The food was really good over there also.
Mhm.
Boy, I didn't know this, but
Right.
I thought coffee, because I love coffee. I'm Latin. We love our coffee.
Right.
But I thought coffee was more of an American thing.
Hmm.
It's completely taken over Ireland. I could not believe how many
Right.
good coffee places are there. And I
Right.
even asked somebody there, go, wait a minute, I thought you guys like into tea.
Hmm.
And she said, yeah, that was our traditional drink, but it's switched over the years. And now coffee, in
Hmm.
her opinion,
Yeah.
was more dominant in Ireland than tea. So it's a pretty amazing.
Hmm.
So I think that this, you don't have to feel like you're going to eat weird food or anything there. I mean, you
Right.
can eat some very traditional Irish foods there. If you want to be adventurous, and they're pretty good. I had something called maybe you know what this is, Celeste. It's called Cullen Skink or Skink Cullen. Do you know about that?
Nope.
Okay, well, you have to try it out. It's pretty good. I think it's called Cullen Skink. I love that word, skink.
Okay.
And it was basically a fish stew, and
Oh,
it was
okay.
really good. I wouldn't have ordered it ordinarily. I'm
Yeah.
not that adventurous when it comes to food, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I was with a local who knew a lot about the history, and we kind of hit it off because again,
Uh-huh.
people are really friendly there.
Hmm.
And he was ordering and he recommended it, and it was really, really good.
Oh, great.
So if you're a foodie, you're gonna love it there. And
Okay.
hey, do you like doing food photography? We can do that
There you
too.
go.
Yeah,
Right. There you
we
go.
just one restaurant to the other and just keep photographing all the food.
Right. There you
Um,
go.
what else
Yeah.
do you want to know? Because my experience there was very. I was only there for a week,
Uh-huh.
but I'll tell you, it was a very rich, very intense, in the good
Yeah.
sense,
Hmm.
week. So I can tell you a lot about it.
I've lived on both sides. I lived on the west coast of Ireland and I've lived on the east coast of Ireland.
Hmm.
And what was really funny is because I had, I really, I just made my way to get to know a lot of people. At the time, I was doing a website for the B&Bs along the coast. So I would have time to stop in and talk to the women that own the B&Bs. So I hadn't been there maybe in about 4 years. I hadn't been there to stay. But when I went back last year, it was hilarious because my community still they're still there, and it was
Mm.
funny because Terry said, she said so and so this he lives like on the main street, he goes, he said he thought he saw you walk past. That was me, because we were looking for our, walking to our B&B from the train station, and I just started laughing, but it was nice that, the every year going and
Hmm.
meeting people, and that I still had a community when I went back.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the great thing about it. So I always suggest to people when they tell me, oh, I've always wanted to go to Ireland, I'm like, go, just
Hmm.
go,
Yeah.
you won't be disappointed if you go.
No,
Uh,
not at all. And even like I was in Tullamore, which is a small, charming little town. But even in Dublin,
mhm,
it's a big city.
mhm,
Even in Dublin, again, very, very friendly, very
mhm.
easy to get around.
Yeah.
My companion, she grew up in New York as I did,
Mhm.
and she was ready to move there.
Right,
She
right,
says, "Wow, this is like the best of both worlds because it has a small town charm and
right,
friendliness to it,
right.
but it also has a lot of the elements you would find in a big place like New York City. So
Yeah.
you got museums, you have beautiful cathedrals, public transportation. You can walk
Mhm.
anywhere basically. A
Right.
lot of restaurants, a lot of
Mhm.
places to shop.
Mhm.
So it's just endless,
Yeah.
And obviously for photography, the same thing. I mean, we did a
Mhm.
lot of street photography, which is another genre
Right.
where you're photographing street life. A lot of it is candid. So for those of you who enjoy that, we can do that too in Dublin. I mean, basically the retreat, um, again, because we're going to have a limited number of people attending,
Mhm.
that gives me the flexibility of
Mhm.
tailoring it to some degree to
Right.
the interests of the group that we have.
Mhm.
So the principles don't change. So I
Mhm.
can teach that under any context. But if,
Mhm.
for the sake of argument,
Mhm.
people just love doing street photography and they want to do that, we can do that. We can do that
Right.
in Dublin. We can do that in Tullamore. We can do that in Galway.
Mhm.
If they're really into landscapes, we can focus on that. Charvel Castle has a lot of great, landscape views there and vistas. Connemara, I mean, many places. If they want to do a mix, we can do that too.
Right.
So that's the beauty of it. And that's why we're promoting this early, even though it's for next year, because we're already 25% full, maybe even more. I haven't checked with you lately, but we're 25% full. So, if it's something you think you're interested in, it just takes as little as a $250 deposit to hold your spot. You got plenty of time to pay it off. And we will be holding Zoom meetings where folks can join in and they can ask questions and we can help prepare them, for the trip. Or if people are not sure, they can just join in, just kind of, check it out and see what it's like. But there's a lot to do in Ireland. And as you know, we were talking earlier about some other locations that we're looking into for the future.
Right.
So for all you photographers out there, if this is something of interest, you can subscribe to our email lists or, to our social media pages so you can stay abreast of what we're up to. And we're open to ideas too. If you have ideas for places that interest you, that you think, you and your friends would like to go,
right.
We want to know about that. We want to make this so it serves you. We want you to come away from this thing feeling this is the greatest thing we've ever done.
Right.
And at the risk of sounding like I'm tooting my own horn, I have to be honest and say that all of my workshops with the National Park Service have been that way. And I say that because with confidence, because I can document it. The Park Service being the government, they're very, I'm going to say bureaucratic, but I'm saying that in the good sense of the word. They want to know what's going on. So they would distribute evaluation sheets to everybody who attended my workshops, and they would ask people to write a critique of me. And thankfully, they've all been good. I can honestly say that. So that's what excites me about this retreat, because that was only 4 hours, in a local place.
Right.
Here, I got plenty of time. Because a lot of times when I was doing the 4-hour workshops, I was kind of rushing.
Right.
I talked real fast. Yeah. And I don't like doing it that way. It's sometimes good to kind of make it more relaxed and, be able to dwell on things. So we had 10 days. Obviously, there's a couple of travel days in there, but nevertheless, we have a nice chunk of time where we can explore things. And also we can get to know each other. I like making my workshops where they're fun, not like school, but it's fun. And maybe even develop some relationships. Many of the folks who've attended my workshops, I'm still in touch with them many, many years later through my Facebook group. So, or sometimes they email me or call me. So that's what's wonderful about it. And we'll have plenty of time to do that because we can go to a local pub. We have some planned dinners also to help encourage some networking and just getting people to know each other.
Some fun things for everyone to do. It's not just it's really not just coming and taking a class and being in a retreat.
That's right.
This is really if you're a writer, this is something that just kind of refreshes and restores your muse, if you're a budding photographer or you don't know anything about photography, this is a great way to learn something new, but also be in a fairly safe environment. Be an environment where we know where you're going, what you're doing. Also, it's we're going to see some off the beaten path as well. I found it to be very healing whenever I'm in Ireland. It's just when you get off the plane, there's just a calm, that you feel when you're off the plane. But like CEO said, other than the class, and I'm pretty sure the class is going to be fun, is that we have some fun activities that we're going to have for everyone. You'll be able to do a little bit of stuff on your own. You'll be able to do some stuff if you're not the go off on my own person. There's us to hang out with and do some things with. So, and we're going to start having more videos to either just kind of help you maneuver. How do I get ready to take a trip to Ireland?
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that it's a safe, a safe arrangement. And when we say safe, we don't mean that there's a lot of crime in Ireland. If anything, to the contrary, it's a very, very safe place.
Right.
But what we mean by safe is I've checked into different forums for photography online, and you'll get a beginner asking an innocent question. And then all these people with more experience just jump all over this person, insulting them. How can you ask such a dumb question and read the manual and blah, blah, blah. Right. That's not what we're about. Right. There's no such thing as a dumb question. whether you're the most experienced person on photography or you're just starting out, everyone's going to be treated with respect, and all the questions will be taken seriously. We make the process very simple.
Mhm.
So, we have transportation to get from point A to point B. We don't
Right.
expect you to meet us in some park and you got to get there on your own.
Right.
Although it is easy to get there on your own because, again, if you don't know what you're doing, people will ask you and they'll help you. But we take it a step further. So we have buses that will provide the transportation, and also, uh, Celeste knows the place, so she knows how to get around. We have friends there too. So it becomes we create an environment where you are free to relax
Mhm.
and to contemplate and to create without worrying about details like where am I going to book a hotel and how do I find the bus
Right.
and how does it work and how does the money work, and it just gets, that just takes you out of your element. So we want to eliminate all that and make it just a very inspiring experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, CO, thank you for being on here today with me. And like I said, we're going to post this on our social media. And we'll be having more videos. We have a couple of them up. If you haven't seen them, we have one on flights, how to get the
Mhm.
best deal. I'm still getting great deals from my little hacker thing that's coming through on my email. And I'm getting ready to put one up out about passports. And for those of you that live in Arizona that's really concerned about the real ID, I will give you some information on if you need the real ID to travel. So I'm going to give you all the updates. I'm going to tell you how you can walk in and get your passport that same day. If you don't want to do that, best ways to expedite it. So, we'll be looking for
Very good.
that. So I'm just, I really, really hope you join us. Those of you that are saying in their head, I would really like to go to Ireland. You can go to Ireland. Okay. It's like a just do it. Okay. Those of you that like me that want to learn more about how to use my smartphone, yeah, I'll be there. Most definitely. So you just gotta go. Just gotta go. So hopefully there'll be more questions on here. And I thank you, Xiomaro, for being on here and letting us know about you, and about doing your workshop in Ireland
We'll do this again very soon.
for sure. Thank
All right.
you.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye bye.